what I'm trying to figure out is what's really good with this Gen X slander and why millennials and Gen Z keep coming for us when we did not send for y'all, when I know good and damn well y'all got the memo that we with this shit. All right? Now that your crybaby memories have been successfully refreshed, let this collective dragging begin. Put your oxygen mask on, lest you choke, because the smoke is here and y'all about to be big mad. All right? Y'all have a tendency of throwing stones and then hiding your hands when you decide to run up on your elders without any reverence or respect. So now it's time to sort y'all out. I said what I said. We are the alpha, the omega, and the blueprint to all this, and you all aspire to be just like us by catching rays off our light, but you never can because we do not look to Google to be great. Our greatness comes from life experiences and wisdom. The biggest mistake Gen X ever made was making millennials and Gen Z feel so entitled that they could emotionally dump their traumas onto our lap without looking in the mirror and holding themselves accountable for the choices and the decisions that they made in their lives. Before you decide to procreate and pollute your gene pool with low vibrational energy, use discernment when choosing a co-parent who can give you the help and the support that is needed to raise a child. And before you say, me, where's the village? What happened to community? The village left when you decided that you did not want anybody disciplining your child. All right? Your kids ain't got no manners, so you can keep them home. I gave up my 20s, my 30s, and the beginning of my 40s to be the best possible parent I could be, so the second half of my life belongs to me unapologetically. I'll be if someone tells me I have to watch my grandchild when no one has to tell me to look at my grandchild, because I love my grandchild. All right? So our tip for the day is to figure this out the way we had to figure this out. Stop with the crybaby antics and get your unhealed, unchecked trauma under control and grow up. Okay? Is that better? Because I don't want to be called a bully. We tired. All right? All right. I hope I'm done with this, because I will come back to sort y'all out again.
Viral Theory Media.
Y'all, I really want to talk about a subject that is not talked about a lot. And the Gen X generation gonna be real hot with me, but I really want to talk about the millennials who are doing the best they can without real grandmothers. And by the way, when I say Gen X, though, that's like whoever was born in 1968 to 1980. You know, back in the day when I used to play outside when I was a kid, I had friends who would always be at their grandmama and their auntie house. Now, my mother is not part of the Gen X generation. My mom was born in the 50s, right? So when I would go outside, I used to ask my friends, like, dang, you been at your grandma's house for a real long time. Dang, you been at your auntie house for about a real long time. Where's your mom? Like, you know, did you talk to her? Is she okay? Because you've been here for about 14 days. I mean, you would have literally thought that I worked for child services at a young age, because I had questions that needed answers, because my mama didn't. She didn't believe in leaving me at her mama's house for umpteen days or her sister's house for umpteen days during school days and never returning until like the 14th day. Like, my mama did not play none of that. And it's sad to me how millennials, you know, when it's time for them to live their life, you know, if they want to go out for a weekend, hey, mama, can you watch my baby for me? A lot of y'all in the Gen X generation, you won't even look out for them. And the sad part to me, Gen X will be like, oh, I don't got time for all of that. I done raised y'all. I want to live my life. Baby, it's 365 days in a year. Your children or your child been at your grandma's house back in the day, 364. So I'm trying to figure out, who in the hell did you really raise? Some of y'all kids was at your sister house, your mama house, your great-great-grandma house. I mean, Gen X, a lot of y'all had a whole damn village when it came to y'all children, and you can't come through for yours? Now it's y'all turns to be the grandmama. It's now y'all turns to be the aunties. And it's so sad. Everybody looked out for y'all. But now it's your turn and you can't do nothing. And then you say, oh, I want to live my life. Oh, I want to live my life. Baby, what did you miss in your prime? Y'all was at the clubs 24/7. And let's not even talk about Freaknik, baby. You went every year. Now your sister needs some help. Now your brother needs some help with, hey sis, can you watch my son for me? Can you watch my daughter for me for like an hour? Ooh, an hour? An hour? Little Miss Unfit, an hour too much for you? Not the same who left your child at your mama house sitting up here talking about, oh, I'm going to the club. I'm gonna be back at 9. I'm gonna be back at 9. Your mama had just told you she barely got food in the house, and you literally picking up your child, which was the millennial child. You picking up your baby Sunday evening. You can't sit up here and look out for your niece, your sister when it come down to your niece and nephew, but your children stayed at your sister's and your brother's house. Now it's your turn and you can't do nothing? And some of y'all was trifling, baby. Y'all would drop y'all kids off, walk off with your purse, and didn't even ask. And the sad part is nowadays the millennials really can't even ask you because they know what you was about. They know what you about. Millennials don't even pull out half I pulled off back in the late 80s and early 90s and 2000s, baby. Come on now. Because they know what type of person you are. And what gets me is about Gen X. A lot of y'all, not all of y'all, but a lot of y'all will literally sit up there and be like, you know, the reason why my child or the children, the way they are today, the reason why they're so independent is because of me. Are they the reason why they are today because you taught them that, or because they didn't have a choice? Because there is a difference between teaching your child to be independent and because they didn't have a choice. So which one is it? Because the millennials I went to school with, the ones that I played with, they raised themselves while you went and go off. They raised themselves when you were still at that nigga house who still don't want you to this day. They raised themselves when y'all stayed at the club. They raised themselves when y'all spent the whole week at Freaknik. They raised themselves. And it's so sad. Y'all sorry can't come through for nobody. And the sad part is when it comes to your millennial child, her daddy already sorry. You picked her daddy, and then you gonna turn around and be a sorry ass mother and turn around and be a sorry ass grandmama and a sorry ass auntie.
Viral theory.
There's so much I could say about that video, but go and watch it for its full context because it was a pretty interesting take. Not specifically toward this young lady, but the attitude in general of millennials. It's the audacity for me. It's the audacity for me. Yeah, but I realize it's based on her as well as other young people's myopic view based on where they are in their lives compared to what everybody else is doing in their life. It's based on their experiences and what they see. And I was no different. But what is different is not even the expectation, but the sense of entitlement that young parents have because y'all didn't ask us to have the kids. So why are you going to put the expectation on us to watch them? Now listen, I love being a grandmother. I do. I absolutely do. You know, I had my 3 bonus grandchildren before my daughter had her baby. I love being a grandmother. I love making stuff for my grandkids, but guess what? Gigi's tired. A lot of Gigi's are tired. And the difference with back then being at Big Mama's house or at the auntie's house, a lot of times they didn't ask to go. They would just drop them off and left. So it was a situation that Big Mama had no choice because the mothers didn't ask, just drop them off. Whereas that now you better, because we set boundaries. You know, just like y'all want to have boundaries when y'all tell us what to do. Hello. And shout out to According to Iris, because you are absolutely right. My mom's generation, my mother was the youngest, but my aunt who lives with us now talks about how she was responsible for her 2 younger siblings. You know, cooking, all that kind of stuff. And me, y'all know my mom had me young. I'm the oldest of two. I was cooking full meals at 7. We had to have the house clean before my mom got home. Clothes ironed, ready, whatever. We had senses of responsibility at such a young age. By the time we got to college, we didn't want no more. Another thing that is related to the myopic view, y'all don't take in consideration how tired grandmothers are. Sometimes we can have the best intention and the desire to help. But when we try to do it, our bodies will tell, our minds, our strength will tell us, you can't do it. Well, what do you mean by that, TJ? I'm glad you asked. I had my daughter at 27. I moved back to Oklahoma from California when just before my baby turned 1. I was in graduate school, working 2 jobs. I wanted to go into ROTC, and I knew in order to sign the contract, there was a larger commitment that was going to be required. But because I was a single mother, I needed to have a parenting plan, basically the contingency. So before I even signed the contract with ROTC, I asked my mom, I said, Mommy, I'm not going to be able to do this if you're not going to help me with Danielle, because this is what I got to do. PT, I got to do this, I got to do that. And I asked her repeatedly before I signed the contract, Mommy, are you sure you're going to be able to help me with Danielle? Yes, I'm going to help you with Danielle. I think I mentioned my mom was in her late 40s when I had my daughter. So it starts off great, dropping my daughter off on my way to school. For the first couple of weeks, no problem. One day I get ready to drop her off. I go to my mom's house. She said, I don't feel like it today. I said, but Mommy, I got to go to school. I'm sorry, I'm tired. I don't feel like it today. I had to pack my daughter up and take her to school with me. And fortunately, the junior cadets watched my baby in the cadet lounge. Shout out to Sooner Battalion, while I went to class. And then some of the classes I had to take with her. I couldn't understand. I was livid because we had the conversation. She committed before I even signed the contract. Okay, there you go. I told my daughter the story several times before they got pregnant. Several times. When she got pregnant, I was excited. It was before I knew that I was going to retire, but because I was thinking I was going to retire, I'm like, oh yeah, I'll be able to watch her every day or at least 3-4 times a week, blah, blah, blah. You know, I want to do it. That's my G baby, my first G baby from my only child. I was in my 50s. I'm 56. My baby's 2. So 54, 54, 53, 54, several years older than my mother. Danielle would bring the baby over. It started out okay. But I'm going to tell you, after that first full day of watching my granddaughter, I slept for almost 16 hours. So as it became clear to me, with each day, I was exhausted. I was exhausted. And my husband was like, TJ, you can't do this. And I felt bad. And I reduced it to 3 days a week. And then that still was too much. And she was very upset with me. Not unlike I was upset with my mom. But I told her in advance. Because again, and I told her what I thought. You know, I think my mom had every intention on helping me, just like I had every intention on helping her more. But when you actually got into the throes of it, you don't have the same capacity. You don't have the same energy as you do in your 20s. You're tired. And y'all can sit there and say what you think, just like I could sit there back then and say, well, I don't understand this because I hadn't lived that long enough to understand. My mother was just tired. And the energy that it takes for a small child, children, period, you got to be on top of your game. And like Iris said, many of those that were dropped off at their grandmother's house, they had full-time jobs, working full-time, coming home a lot of times, falling asleep in their chairs. While the kids are out doing what they, do, getting into trouble, which is what kids do, but also doing what they weren't supposed to do. And having things happen to them that shouldn't happen because grandma was tired, wasn't paying attention a lot of times. What else? Something else is different in as much as the Gen X may not be physically taking care of grandkids. A lot of us are financially taking care of y'all's kids, or at least helping. Whereas in my generation, my mom couldn't help me at all. That's one of the reasons why I went into the military, so I could make sure I could provide for my daughter, because my mom wasn't in a position to help me. So like Iris said, each generation was doing the best they can with what they knew and what they had. And again, because we baby y'all with no sense of accountability, no sense of boundary, no sense of respect, no sense of deference, but every sense of entitlement, I'm interested to see how y'all kids gonna turn out and what they gonna say about y'all. And she's absolutely right about, because we puffed your heads up about y'all could do anything, y'all could be everything. When somebody gives you constructive criticism, you can't even handle it. My mother wrote to me in a letter many years ago, actually it was before I had my daughter, that she purposely didn't tell me how pretty I was or how smart I was, because I'd always been told that I was a pretty baby and I was this, and she didn't want that to go to my head. So guess what? I was always trying to prove myself. Now, there has to be a delicate balance. There has to be a delicate balance. You know, we need to show our kids, yes, you are this, but you're not perfect. And this is why you're not perfect. How to handle constructive redirection from your parents so you can darn sure handle it from people who ain't. Because I see it all the time in the workplace. It's always everybody else's fault. Take no responsibility for anything. It's always an excuse. So, yeah, you know, I can understand why there's some frustration. But yeah, we're tired. Because some of us raised ourselves, we raised our kids, and some of us raised our siblings and had too much responsibility at early ages. So take that with you.
For proper context, go back and look at this young lady's video. She's very passionate, and apparently there's a lot of pain with her parents or her grandparents or whatever's going on. But her thing is that Generation X make horrible grandparents, right? So I'm going to address it because she made a general statement about all of us, and I'm going to give her 2 reasons why Generation X grandparents are different from boomer grandparents, right? One reason is that boomer grandparents were not still taking care of the kids, right? Millennial grandparents, we're not going to watch the kids so you can go to the club because we are still taking care of y'all. We still paying phone bills. We still getting tires rotated. We still buying groceries. We are a complete safety net. Some of y'all are in your 30s. You're not independent. You were us all the time financially. You see us as an ATM, and then you want us to watch the kid while you go to the club, while you go down to Miami for bike week. No, hell no. You better strap that little to your ass, duct tape into your ass, and take it with you, because we not going to do that, because we're...
Hey, before you go, remember to like, share and subscribe for more Viral Theory Media.